What's happening, people? Welcome back to wahsup TV, where today we are doing another reaction video to Webby's presser taken earlier this week. Just gonna watch and see what comes to mind. This is after two pretty bad losses. Interesting to see what he will say. I haven't watched it yet. Obviously, that's why it's a reaction video. But we'll pause where I think there's a discussion point. But if you guys are here for the first time, please give us a like and a subscribe to wahsup TV for all your New Zealand Warriors content. So let's get into it. Let's have a look. Okay.
3 days away, you've got a bit of time until the game.
Yep.
I guess those 3 days away, do you get a bit more clarity and understanding of why this team may be in a little bit of a slump at the moment?
Yeah, definitely. I think the clarity's probably been there, but it's just been not having the amount of practice or time to probably execute it better or get it done. And certainly got no excuses because we've got time now. So boys are well rested. We're ready to go. We had a great yarn review today. Boys knew the answers. They were asked what they thought about the performance. Yeah, and I just love the way they stayed consistent today. It was good.
Interesting, like talking about, I suppose, getting enough rest and realizing, well, for him and his views, that we needed to get some rest. The system in that is fine, but it sounds as though that they needed the break. The 3 days apparently was good, and that the review. I love hearing this style where it puts the onus back on the players and how they see it. Now, sometimes you want, obviously, management to tell you what you're doing wrong. But I think there's a fine balance between it. And it's good to hear that he puts the onus. And you hear it all the time, how he expresses is that the guys were disappointed. The boys were upset about their performance. They're accountable. They know what they've done wrong. The review today was good. They accepted where they fell short or what they need to do. They know what they need to do. And I think, that's good coaching, good mentoring. A lot of coaching and mentoring isn't about you giving them the answers. It's more about them finding the answers themselves. Even though you may know the answer, it's better for person to come to a self-realization or revelation personally. Oh, that's what I did wrong. I now understand it. Instead of you telling, you know what you did wrong, you did this and this and this. So that's good, what I call good coaching, good mentoring, where you're not going to give them the answers. You might give them little guides and tips and hints, but ultimately it comes back to the players. And if they can have those self-discoveries more times than you are telling them the answers, it's better for their learning and growth. So I'm just off the top of what he's saying. That sounds pretty, that for me is good mentoring, good coaching.
I guess a quick turnaround from the last 2 games, but you've got, I guess, 7 days or 10 days. How much does that help with preparation leading into the night?
Yeah, heaps. I mean, sometimes a 6-day turnaround can be exactly what you need, or a 5-day. But yeah, this is what we need right now. We need 10 days between games and 7 days of practice. So that's pretty cool. We get on the field 4 times this week and get to build combinations. We get to get our fundamentals back, which we don't take for granted, but we just now get the opportunity to do it. So
yeah, I suppose, like, looking over the past few weeks, and we talked about last week with Sean having those injuries, but in terms of getting on the field and practicing, they've had 7 days proper actual prep. I suppose they'll probably fly out on Saturday, I'd say, or could be Friday. But either way, they got their prep right. He said combinations, so that for me tells a lot about getting things right everywhere. The fundamentals as well. Interesting. He talks about fundamentals. Look at our tackling technique over the last couple of weeks. I mean, you have to be fundamentally sound in wrapping guys up, getting them to the ground, getting into all that wrestle work that they've been doing with Kaikara France. Felt as though I've on a microscopic level, the tackle control and technique has slipped the last 3 weeks pretty much. Whether that's down to tiredness or lack of commitment, or you're not having fresh legs, that is an issue, seeing them slip away from their controlling of the ruck. Like, what I've noticed when I'm watching the boys is that they're tackling, but they're holding guys up, and those guys are ripping free quite easily. They're not in control. Ultimately, they're not in control of the ruck. So when I'm, to hear that, it means that you want to have to be able to control and be dominant in those tackles, to control the players. Even when you're tackling to the ground, you don't want them to be on all fours, should we say, and being able to posture up and get out quickly. So I'm thinking those types of things, also fundamentals of ball hand, everything. You know what I mean? So I like to hear that. Yeah, that's cool.
So, yeah, we could, certainly never any excuses for us, but it's an advantage this week.
Minus the injuries, the lineup's been largely the same throughout the year. I guess, do you look to change it up, give other guys a go heading into this week?
Yeah, I'm not scared to make changes if that needs to be, but we're debuted 2 guys this year, so there's certainly been change. But yeah, when we can and if we need to, we will. But at the same time, we've got complete faith in this group that's playing at the moment, that they can get the job done. But there won't be any big wholesale changes.
Yeah, I get what he's saying. I mean, he's had to. He didn't want to, but I think he's had to make 2 debuts because of injuries. And that tier of what I've talked about, Laban is at the top of that tier in terms of the guys from Cup, in terms of forwards. He's gone as far as Zion Mayu, and great for them. But it sounds like those guys aren't going to outwork a forward. So, for example, Laban, in his eyes, isn't better than Ford at the moment in terms of their progression. So those would be, I consider, he's saying wholesale changes. He's not going to make those, so Capewell and, Laban in for Capewell, we ain't going to see that unless it's injury. And likewise, Zion for Walker or Ali or whoever, Bunty, if he's healthy. So, but I think he's had to, out of necessity, obviously debut these guys, and they've done a good job. But like you said, he trusts in the group. I do agree with that. And we're just, the more injuries you get, the further down the line you have to go. But I want to commend everyone, and I think this is a good evaluation of all of the depth and development guys that have come through and had their debuts, at least since last year and under his watch, have done a great job. Like, you look at Tuopiki, did really well. Laban's come in, looked good. Mayu, Dimitrik, he only got 1 shot and he was out, so. But in general, I think they've all been really prepared as best they could be. I think he asked Paulie Roach as well. Paulie looked okay, I think everyone has done well within the system. Obviously, they're chucked out with hardly any support. I mean, the worst example was probably the Dolphins last year, but that was a nothing game. We had the Kalani Goings of the world and others. I'm not sure if that was Kalani's debut, but still, it was like a bit part New South Wales Cup / first grade team. So yeah, you can't really evaluate that, but the overall debuts that have been made, they've been with lots of support. Guys know their roles. I think Laban's a great example. Playing his game, little errors. Zion, perfect example, making an impact, but no errors, nothing to show any frustration. So I think that's really, really, really good from a coaching and development point of view.
When we get some bodies back and get more available, we might think about it, but we're really confident this group can get back to playing the footy we want to play.
What is working well and why aren't we seeing it for 80 minutes?
I think you saw the start of the game 12-0 down. I think that style of footy is as good as any team in the competition. And then I think our bad is as bad as anyone's in the competition, if I'm being honest, and the boys agree with that.
Yeah, that's concerning for me. That it's almost like really bipolar in terms of we have amazing starts and then we just have these periods where we just fall apart. Like, to have 18 points put on you within 15, 20 minutes, or even at the Dragons, it's just so contradicting. But at the same time, it's telling you that our performances aren't consistent this year. Last year, you knew defensively we could hold. We could really, yes, we may not have the overall best game, but our defensively consistency was always within really good. We could defend our line. We could defend sets from anywhere pretty much. It's a little bit of a concern. Oh, well, it is a big concern that your performances are so vastly different at least the coach is acknowledging it. But what is the fix for me? What is going to solve that?
But I think we're one of the bottom teams for defending our areas at the moment, and that's not something we want to be. That wasn't our identity last year. So we're winning so many stats. I think we're first in the NRL for meters. There's so many things that we're doing really well, but it doesn't mean anything if when something goes poorly you can't defend it and look after each other, and that's what we're going to get back to doing. I think if we did that, because we know we're not going to be perfect over 80 minutes, there's going to be areas, there's going to be penalties, but we want to limit them, but we also want to defend them, and that's what we're looking forward to doing.
I love his transparent. We've all been thinking that, and he's expressing that. I appreciate his honesty. I think he's very transparent. But in the back of my mind, I'm just thinking, I hope he's just not thinking about that. I think obviously he's going to go into deeper detail, and I'm probably pretty sure that Webby's just giving us what we want to hear a lot of the time. We're the saying of the stats, like we're top in meters and we're worse, and like we all know those things. I'm just hoping that it's not only those things that he's recognizing, that he knows all the next level stats that are showing other, very much vulnerabilities. I'm sure he's aware of that, but I think he's kind of, as a fan base, giving us all the answers we want to hear or what we need to hear to keep us satisfied. But yeah, he's good with words, this man. I got to give it to him.
We see you guys, prepare really well. Does it sometimes surprise you if it goes bad during a game?
Yeah, I think you. Look, I'm always confident in them, so it surprises me when they don't play their best. They've got complete confidence and faith. So yeah, it's not a nice feeling because I know they want more and they're trying hard, and you guys can see how well they prepare. So I just loved today that we had some laughter and we went after the moment. Like, we wanted to get better, and that's our thing at the moment, is improve individually as a unit, as a team. And that's the bit they've turned up with a great attitude today to want to get better. And we didn't gloss over anything. We certainly we saw everything that we weren't proud of, and we saw everything that we love. So we're just staying consistent with that at the moment.
What's the key to fix?
Yeah, good to have a bit of laughter. Yeah, it sounds as though, and I suppose it sounds as though people are tired now. You can use injuries, you can use overworking certain players, you can also, and it's great to have a reset. I think that's really important. Good to have laughter, and it sounds like those losses, and like most of us, have taken a bit of a toll. Now, last week he said he doesn't want to have 2 or 3. I'm hoping that the preparation for this week, in terms of we can't have another loss, that for me would really spell bad signs. So I'm hoping that they can, get back on. If it means having these 3 days off, having a break, having a bit of laughter, keeping everyone in good spirits. That's great. That's great to hear from me.
Fixing things up defensively. Is it attitude? Is it having more rest? Is it some tactical things perhaps?
I think it's a bit of everything. Tactically, it doesn't need to change. We just got to. When I say that, I mean tactically, we don't need to change the way we want to do things. We just got to be better at it for long.
That's a great point. I mean, why would you change your system or tactically right at this very point? Everything you've done preparation-wise over the preseason, in terms of your defensive structures, how you contain the tackle, how you set up, who goes to what edge when you're the third man in, where does he fill in, what the emphasis of your pressures are. Do you give inside pressure? You check and slide? Do you jam from the outside? What do you do in 3-on-3s? Everything like that. That should stay same. We just need to see improved performance within the structure. I agree with that. I think that's what he's talking about defensively. But hopefully we need to add layers to the existing structure. I think the right side attack is still pretty much sound. We have made adjustments. You won't see much of the double leads, how we have been doing it. In fact, you're probably seeing little adjustments where they're working from the near post on the right side and going almost one lead runner out the back. There's different things. They are mixing it up. But I suppose defensively he wants that to be very sound. But I do feel you got to make some some little tactical adjustments. How do you approach? You're looking at what the Roosters are doing when they had Sam Walker at first receiver, like little creative things. I suppose we are so very structural that we don't get any kind of off the cuff tries at the moment. We don't get anything off of a kind of like a chip over the top. We're really following through our systems. I suppose if you're going to go that route, then you need to add more structure and more layers of deception to be able to stick within the system. Instead of saying to a guy like Sean, hey, bro, just play eyes up, do a chip over the top whenever you feel like it or this time of the game. That's not who we are right now, unfortunately, for me. Well, not unfortunately and fortunately, because we know when you get a little bit too loose, we've that old Warriors pattern was so it was great and when it was up, and then it was flat when it was when it didn't work. So for me, it's either get more into your layers, into your structure, attack wise, open up the left hand side, figure out how you're going to do that. But defensively, your patterns need to be sharper and more, obviously better. But in reality, guys, we're not going to change the whole system of how we attack right now. I think we'll see more of the same, but they want to improve it. But that goes back to personnel for me. Unless you got the guys that can do that system at the moment's a bit vulnerable.
Longer. So fundamentally, we did a lot of small drills out there today that help us prepare for that. So we pride ourselves on our fundamental stand up under pressure. And they were having for the last couple of weeks. So I just think it's a combination of things. One, when something doesn't go our way, get over it fast and move on to the next job, and also get better at what we value so much. And we've got no excuses because we had plenty of reps this week.
In terms of getting some of the bodies back, I know it's on Monday, but how's that looking for this week? Kurt, Bunty?
Yeah, Kurt looks good. Bunty's a chance. I think that's about it, really.
Yeah, I think just on the injuries there, Bunty, I saw him named as a 17. It's probably hit and miss. So probably if I would go Zion in there. So that would be Walker, Ale, Zion, and Laban. Probably a little bit. You probably do want a Paulie Roach just for cover, but personally, I really like Zion. I mentioned it on my preview. Sorry, I like his lead lines. I like the way his energy comes on. Laban is for me more back row cover. If you feel that Capewell isn't going to play 80, keep Laban in. But otherwise, I'd pull Laban out actually, and I'd put Zion in there for middles. I suppose if Ford and Capewell are a little bit nicked up, I mean, Ford's had a bit of a rough one the last couple of weeks, then you're probably going to go Laban, and you're probably going to go, with Bunty can make it, but you're probably going to go Paulie Roach for me. But if they aren't nicked up, if Ford and Capewell are really healthy, I'd just go with Zion. I think he's got better impact. And also you've got Dylan Walker there and a Barnett to help support on anything on the edges. So, yeah, just my thoughts.
I think that's it so far. He's got a week to go suspension. We've got some guys who are getting closer. But, yeah, that should be it for this week.
And what was the highlight of your long weekend?
Spending time with my son. I had a mate over from Oz. Watched Harold Matthews winning the grand final. That was my highlight of the weekend. Jersey Flegg had a win, and our reserve grade had a really tough draw against Penrith. So it's not all bad. There's lots of good stuff going on in the club. Really proud of the fans again. I keep telling them, but it was awesome on Anzac Day, the atmosphere they created. And there's lots going on. But my highlight was Harold Matthews and spending time with my son and wife. That was pretty cool.
I mean, it's nice. And again, the club as a whole is doing really well. The Harold Mats, everyone. Just imagine it was 4 or 5 grades right now. It's just so good. It's just so good. And it's great to see everyone involved in every level. Everyone's supporting the Harold Mats, everyone's supporting the Jersey Flegg, the Cup boys, the SG Ball. Harold Mats getting the win in the first year is insane. Next year we're gonna have the girls, like the profile of the club and rugby league in New Zealand is just gonna be awesome. But yeah, great to see Webby had a bit of a weekend off, just chilling out. But yeah.
Did you get a look at the Knights?
Yep, had a look at them yesterday.
What are you expecting out of them?
Well, yesterday they just found a way to be gritty. They're playing tough footy because obviously they're not happy at times. I listened to their press conferences, but I feel like they found a way to get it done. Against Redcliffe, who have been going really well. They had some injuries too and some things that didn't go their way. But yeah, I mean, they've got strike. I mean, Bradman Best, the list goes on. They carry the ball hard in the backfield. I mean, their halves create a lot. So their forward pack's tough. So yeah, they look pretty good. But the thing I noticed about them just how gritty they were, and they weren't going to leave that field without the win no matter what.
How much?
Yeah, and going into the Knights, yeah, they're a tough, solid squad. They're gonna be a tricky one. They're gonna have to be really on. And at home, they always will. You know, it's a tough place to play away at Newcastle. So, yeah, Webby's not wrong. I mean, but I'm sure he's got plans, obviously, how to exploit all that. But yeah, watching the reviews and even watching press conferences, that's cool. You do have to watch. I would say as a coach, you do have to watch the other coach and what they're thinking, how they're wording it, what they're thinking about. So, yeah, I like that.
A different team, are they, without California?
Yeah, I think every team's different without your initial fullback. So we don't play the same with Tane as we do with Nuck. You vary it up. You've got to be versatile, but I don't think they throw out a lot of things look very similar too. So I think there's only a couple of variations that they throw at you that's different. But yeah, I don't think. I'm sure the players that have come in aren't trying to be Kalen Ponga. So, but we respect every player that takes your jersey, and yeah, we've learned that recently that it's a hard competition. You've got to be on your toes.
Yeah, you got to be on your toes. Probably a little mention there to maybe the Dragons and a few other games where maybe tactically we got caught out. I think so. Good, I think they will have a bit of variation. I know Hastings will be a bit more of a different style, different way of directing the team around. But yeah, I don't think they'll have many of those 3-on-3. You know how Ponga gets on out the back and it's 3-on-3 on the left hand side or right hand side, the right hand side, and he just picks apart that edge. I think we're going to have to be very tight. I'd love to just see no league tries on the right side or nothing down those channels. And we shouldn't have that because we've had Tommy Turbo, we had Sloan, who's pretty good. We've had, who was last week's one? Brimson's very fast. Like, we've had some really good fullbacks up against us who are just good with speed. And so that tells you something as well, that we're not dealing with really fast outside backs like a Kohler, Kelly, Pereira. We've struggled with really speedy backlines. So, yeah, I'm thinking it's going to be a big task, but I think they'll definitely be up for it.
Seems to be a couple of guys, individuals that are struggling a bit, confidence-wise, form. How do you and the coaches give them their confidence back?
Yeah, well, obviously I think it always helps visually to show them how well they've done it for so long. So in the past, how it looks, some drills to get them back feeling confident. Give them technique, give them an understanding of if you continue to do this, it'll come. Instead of, and be honest too. You've got to.
Yeah, I think that's all. So I think there's nothing from what it sounds like there is that we have a style of play that we want you to play. Here's the examples of when it's been effective. If you trust in this and continue to you build off of these techniques and play through and build these, go back to the process again, trust the process, should we say, which is pretty much what he's saying, the results will come. And I think that's like any coach, they're going to have to get guys that are out of form to get back into the thing. I might say to them, hey, you've gone off track a little bit, or you're not believing in what we're doing here. We need you to buy back into what we're doing. So he's not going to adapt it to the player, say, hey, I've got these new plays for you. I think these will help you get your confidence back. It's sort of like, I want you to come back, like strip back what you're doing and get back into what we do, and your confidence will grow from there. I respect that. Again, it's going back to the system, trusting in the process and in the system that we've built. From what it sounds from Webby, it's like this system will ultimately work if you fully trust and believe in it. Over time, we will get the results. so far he hasn't been wrong, except for the last 2 or 3 weeks when maybe guys haven't believed in the system. Maybe they've lost a bit of confidence. Whoever that might be tomorrow. It could be RTS asking questions of what's going wrong. We're just going to trust in the process. That's what it sounds like to me. Instead of creating something that's not within the system to support a player that's lost confidence. Yeah, agree with that.
To be honest, for them to get their confidence back, if you don't give it to them in black and white sometimes, then they don't understand or have that clarity on how they've got to get better. So, we've just stayed really consistent around that. I think the thing I will say about these boys is they.
So just quickly, black and white, absolutely. Sometimes you just got to take out all the grey area and the confusion. Just say, this is what we want you to do. This is your role. This is what you do in these situations, blah, blah, blah. This is clear how we want you to play. And, from all accounts, everyone has spoken about Webby's very clear with his communication. If that means it's black and white, great. If it means understanding a complicated thing and making it simpler, that's great also. So simplicity is key for any sport, and helping players to understand your concepts, your system, your play style. Yeah,
they want to get better and they want to work hard at it, and the feedback they're giving us is awesome at the moment on how they want to do it and why. So.
And you mentioned you probably won't make changes, but do you believe guys can sometimes get confidence back down in reserve grade, or you believe it's better to do it via NRL?
Well, if you do it via NRL, you don't play reserve grade, so that's always the best bit. And I mean it, like if you can do it in that environment, and obviously if you get your form back, then that means we're a better chance of winning. If you have to go back to reserve grade, then and you've got a good attitude, I think you can definitely gain confidence to get back up to NRL. So
that's a really good point, actually. You probably, if you can give guys some time to do it in NRL and figure it out against better opposition, that's better than sending them to Cup and them destroying young players. I kind of believe with that philosophy. So, for example, Tamaire, if you can get something out of him, or whoever it may be that's come from Cup, if you can get something out of them while playing first grade, that's better than going back down and dominating the Cup level. I think I think anyone would agree with it. But I suppose that's why sometimes persisting with guys to help them get over that hump or the confidence or whatever it is. I kind of see what he's saying. You kind of have to ride it out. But if you ride it too far and the form keeps dropping and dropping, you've just wasted some opportunities for wins, more pressure on the team, confidence drops across the board. But yeah, I see what he's saying.
I think early on in the year we had guys who weren't getting picked. They went back with great attitudes and they came back in an NRL side and did a great job. So, I think you can get it both.
And given what you've got coming through away games against really good teams, is this the biggest challenge you've had personally?
I got asked that after the game. I think we've had bigger challenges, but it's an exciting challenge. I mean, it's not going to be easy. One game at a time for us. When we've got to worry about the nights, we get to go away together and have fun and regroup. But yeah, it is a challenge, and it's something that we probably haven't faced simply because of expectation. Because I think we've had worse areas last year of losing in a row. But I think it's simply because people expect more of us, and that's cool. We expect more of ourselves. So yeah, it probably is the biggest challenge, but it's a challenge I'm looking forward to, and that's why I wanted to be a head coach. Is enjoy these moments.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Like the expectation has grown from your performance last year. So with that weight of expectation, this is probably the biggest challenge. To go away to the Knights, that's a tough one. If you pull off and go away to the Roosters and you do Panthers at Magic Round, that's an improvement on last year. Mentally, the team mentally needs to get over these hurdles because we haven't really beaten anyone top four wise. We haven't beaten the Roosters. We haven't beaten Penrith. We haven't beaten the Broncos. We haven't beaten, those are the teams you want to get one over to help build your case for when you get into playoffs. Playing the Knights last year was great for the fan base and the club to see us win a game at home, but you need to get some scalps early in terms of Broncos, Panthers, Roosters, whoever else is around that area. to build your confidence to go into those games, to know we can battle these guys. So yeah, it's still to be seen, but I think this is probably his biggest challenge. We do need it, and if you got all 3 games, okay, we're in it. We're really, yeah, we're rethinking things, but it's going to be a massive test. How if any can pull this off, if the team can pull it off. But I love that he's confident. Yeah, he should be. That's what coaching is about. These are the tough games. Look, we've had the last 8 rounds has been, if I'm being honest, a really easy schedule. We haven't performed well enough. And now we're in a pressure position where we can't drop 3 games. That will just damage our season. And so the pressure is on. It's massively on. You take a loss away to Newcastle this week, confidence drops even more. Fan base are getting louder, though not myself, but others. Roosters, you get smashed at Roosters, you get smashed at Penrith. Man, that feels like it might be a bigger hit. So big challenge for him, absolutely.
And go after it. And I feel really good about it.
We've seen in a few games this year, like Sharks, Raiders, Titans, where you start really hot, and then there's sort of a lull in the middle, and then you finish really strong.
Yeah.
What do you put that down to?
I think the starts. It obviously goes really well. We execute. I thought on the weekend, like for example, we couldn't have executed better, and then we had a lapse of concentration. Maybe we're a little bit happy with ourselves. We're doing well, and we think it's just going to become easy. But yeah, and the end of the game is, I think they come home so strong because they're so desperate to win. Like they want to win bad, and they're not willing to give up. So that's a positive.
Lapse of concentration, yeah. Happy. I think that's kind of a media answer. There's some things going on. Guys are tight, or guys aren't physically capable of doing it. And then to come home strong and want to win. I mean, there's something for me that's not a clear-cut answer in terms of there's something happening. Rotations, like analytically, I think there's data to say there's a massive drop-off in the middle of the games. Why is that happening? Mental lapses, probably, yeah. I mean, you look at Dellen's try, the long-range try last week. Same again for the off-the-scrum try. Those are mental lapses for sure. Why are they happening? Down to player, individual, or preparation. I'm not sure what it is. But yeah, to have that happen, that same pattern every week, is concerning for me. But yeah.
But I just think our concentration in the middle period of our games, during those games you're talking about, hurt us, and you're only as good as your weakest link. So if someone's not doing their job, it hurts the whole team, and that's been a bit.
Okay, well, that wraps up the interview. Man, we've done 33 minutes. Tells you what you can do. Guys, yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. Yeah, I just think it's good to kind of read through the lines a little bit about Webby's presses. He says the right things. Those things are all the things we know that the team need to improve on. But no doubt he's got some other stuff behind the scenes he's working on to try and improve this team. His thought behind, I suppose, guys that are down on confidence, letting them figure it out in the first grade instead of going down a cup and relearning and then coming back up. I think he's got a fine line, but he's going to have to make some calls soon if this continues to go the way it is. Guys of like the Montoyas, the RTS at centre, what's happening there? You could probably look at Tamai there. You could look at Dallin. People calling for Dallin to get dropped. Kate, all these things that people are seeing outside and blaming individuals as opposed to the system. When do you say, no, you guys aren't playing my system well enough, or the system we've built? You individually are causing the problem. You need to be dropped. I think he's very much more on the side of we're going to let you figure it out. We're going to let you build your confidence in first grade until you really bomb. But that's a fine line. Guys' performances have dipped a little bit. Guys are struggling. And if you go on this 3-game run, there's a lot of pressure on to drop certain players if those same errors happen. But I think he trusts his team. I trust him too. I believe in the coach This game here at the Knights, though, you need to see something. You need to get a result here. You need to get a win. You need to get something that says, yes, we acknowledge our errors, we acknowledge the things that are going wrong, and we've improved. Because you had 3 days off, you said you're laughing, you're happy, everyone's refreshed. Cool. Let's get the result we need. We're a good side. Stats-wise says, apart from our defensive areas, the other areas are strong. The yardage, everything's going good. If you can sort the defense out at the Knights for me and continue to develop the attack or just get a really good game where you limit their points and you obviously score more, and that's how you win games, but have a good performance that will hold a lot well and can hopefully carry that through to the Roosters and to the Panthers. But massive 3 weeks ahead, guys. But yeah, guys, if you are here for the first time or if you've watched this and you enjoyed it, please give us a like and subscribe to wahsup TV. Appreciate your time, and we'll catch you on the flip. Peace.